I might need to move to Atlantis.
Where should Manchester United improve in this summer's transfer window? For cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to www.jerseyfever.com, a link will be left in the description, and use code atlantisfootball to get 5% off. Before I get into the analysis, just give me 30 seconds to tell you about the OneFootball app, because this is the app I use to keep up to date with the latest circulating transfer rumours, and I find the match section on the app incredibly useful as well, as they have stats from matches from pretty much every league in the world, which is great for keeping up to date with the leagues, teams and players that you aren't able to watch as much as you would like. If you like this channel, you'll definitely love this app, and you'll be helping to support the channel directly, so click the link in the description to get the OneFootball app. So in the first episode of this series, I looked at who I would sell and loan out from their squad. In the second episode, I looked at the first two areas United need to improve, which were at centre back and at right back. Both of those videos will be linked in the description and will provide some context to this video. So on to the next area of improvement for this United squad. Central midfield has been a problem area for United for years. Since Scholes retired in 2013, United have needed a deep line creative midfielder. Pogba was signed in 2016 and has played the role for France, but under Mourinho and for the majority of Solskjaer's spell, he has been deployed further forward. Matic, Fred, McTominay and even back to the likes of Ander Herrera, Schneiderlin and Fellaini have all been more industrious ball-winning central midfielders rather than the creative deep-line midfielders like a Thiago Alcantara or a Toni Kroos type. After Herrera left in 2019, I thought United had to go out and get a central midfielder, especially because it looked like Pogba would soon depart as well. For the last two seasons, United have had McTominay and Fred as their starting double pivot in midfield. At the time, at the start of the 2019-2020 season, I thought this was a perfect case study to show how bad and complacent United's transfer strategy had been. Fred at the time had been barely featuring the previous season, and McTominay, whilst coming in for a few games, didn't look United standard, so the fact that they were now United's starting central midfielders should have been concerning to all United fans. But over that season, Fred and McTominay did put in some decent performances, usually against the bigger sides, mostly from a defensive perspective, which seemed to cloud the fans and the management's judgment, because despite needing two starting central midfielders last summer, United got not one. People have tried to convince themselves that Van der Beek is a man to play there, but if you watch my analysis of Van der Beek, you'll see what I think of him in that position, and I didn't think he was up to playing that particular role even when he was signed in the summer. Pogba is still the player that should be playing in that midfield double pivot of Solskjaer's 4-2-3-1, but United still need a player brought in alongside him. See, McTominay and Fred are decent options for United, against sides where United aren't having the majority of the ball and sitting deep, looking to counter quickly when the ball is won. Both of these players work perfectly in central midfield. However, throughout the course of a full season, I don't think that if United want to compete for the title, that these two should be the starters in central midfield. Fred and McTominay are what I would describe as pressing ball-winning central midfielders. They are very good at pushing up the pitch in accordance with United's press, and moving across the pitch to close up the space in midfield as well. However, the issues I have with Fred is that whilst he is a very good pressing central midfielder, he is poor when defending in one-on-ones in the centre of the pitch, often overcommitting when he should jockey to hold up the player, or approaching a tackle flat-footed, enabling the player to shift the ball quickly, wrong foot him and drive into the space. Fred is more active than McTominay. He seems to be a lot more aggressive when he's pressuring, which can be good in certain situations, especially with Solskjaer's use of an aggressive press. When we look at the statistics, we can see the difference in styles. Fred completes 2.9 tackles per 90, the 6th most of any central midfielder in the league, but does get dribbled past 2.1 times per 90, the 6th most of any central midfielder as well, giving him a tackle success rate of 56.8%. In contrast, McTominay completes 2.1 tackles per 90, the 27th most of any central midfielder in the league, whilst only being dribbled past 0.6 times per 90, making his tackle success rate higher at 77.7%. Both of these players suit a specific role in the 4-2-3-1 system, but I don't think either could play the role of a sole defensive midfielder as an anchorman like Ndidi or Fabinho to the level needed, which is why Solskjaer opts to use both of them in midfield more often than not, sacrificing creativity for defensive protection. In terms of ball progression from central midfield, this is an area that United need to improve. Fred and McTominay both complete just 0.8 dribbles per 90, the joint 28th most of any central midfielder in the league. When it comes to passes into the penalty area, Fred has made a total of 14 this season, the 129th most of any player in the Premier League, whilst McTominay has managed just half of that with 7. Ranking 213th in the league, the same amount as David Luiz this season. Fred is a lot better at playing incisive passes forward than McTominay, however. He has made a total of 136 passes into the final third, the 15th most in in the league, whereas McTominay sits in 65th, with around half of that with 78. I also don't think that United can rely on Pogba being the sole creative central midfielder in the squad, as he does seem to have prolonged spells of injury or bad form throughout a season, which does leave United vulnerable. The central midfielder brought in is going to have to be a very well-rounded player. He's going to have the physicality and defensive attributes to suit United's pressing game, but also be able to be a lone defensive midfielder if needed. He also needs to be a better forward and creative passer than McTominay and Fred, being more of a deep line playmaker than those two. This means that central midfield is probably going to be the hardest position to find a quality player who isn't going to cost an arm and a leg. The next area that United need to improve is in the attacking midfield area, with a right-sided attacker specifically needed. Right now, in terms of chance creating output, Bruno Fernandes and Luke Shaw are carrying this United team. Fernandes ranks 4th in the league for key passes with 2.7 per 90, with Shaw in 10th with 2.2 per 90 at the time of writing. However, after that, United's next player on the ranking list is Marcus Rashford in 69th with 1.3 per 90. If we look at United's selection of players to play in those three attacking midfield spots behind the forward, Fernandes is the only real playmaker out of them. Van der Beek is much more of a second striker than a playmaker, as seen as last season for Ajax in the Eredivisie, he completed 1.9 key passes per 90, the 30th most in the league, while Ziyech completed the most in the league with 4.3 per 90, and Bergwijn sat 3rd with 3 per 90. Marcus Rashford is an inside forward who's going to be offering more of a goal threat, making movements in behind into goal scoring positions, rather than creating those chances from the half space. Greenwood is similar, but definitely more of a centre forward than an inside forward. Daniel James isn't United standard, as I said in the first video, and the fact that he's recorded just 0.7 key passes per 90 this season just shows that. Pogba could play in one of these roles, but he's much better in a deeper position in my opinion than if he's being crammed in as a wide playmaker. So United first of all need a player to come in to play from that right side, offering some sort of chance creating ability similar to Fernandes's. However, I'd probably look for two attacking midfielders who are versatile enough to play in any of those three positions behind the forward, as it would give United a lot more alternative options throughout the season. A lot of people have recognised that Solskjaer doesn't make a lot of substitutions, sometimes only one in a game, and that's because frankly he doesn't have many options. He has Martial or Cavani, depending on who didn't start the game, and then Daniel James and Donny van der Beek, neither of whom are really game changers in that sense. Amad Diallo is now an option for United, and people will say that United don't need another attacking midfielder because they now have Diallo, but United fans should learn from last summer not to put too much responsibility on young players. Last season people were saying that someone like Sancho wasn't needed because Greenwood was fine there and that they didn't want to stagnate his development. However, this lack of attacking options has cost United this season in the title race. People need to remember it's not Greenwood or Diallo FC. United should be focused on creating the best squad to win the league, not just to develop young players. Two attacking midfielders being brought in means that United will have 6 to 7 options in those three attacking midfield positions, so Diallo is still going to be used a lot next season but won't have the pressure and responsibility on his back like Greenwood has had throughout this season. People are going to question whether United need a centre forward, with Cavani likely to leave. However, my opinion is that I think United should go into next season with Martial, Greenwood and Rashford also capable of playing there. The reason is that I don't see anyone on the market that is going to significantly improve United in that position. Haaland would be the target, but that isn't going to happen for United this summer unfortunately, so I'm not even going to entertain it. Martial has been poor this season, but if he can get back to the level of 2019-20 after a good summer and pre-season, then with Greenwood as well in the ranks, United have two very good options at centre forward. So to conclude, the positions that I will be targeting to bring players in for is at right back, at centre back, at central midfield, and two versatile attacking midfielders, with all of them capable of improving the starting 11, as signing players for depth is not going to get United any closer to winning the league, as the Van der Beek and Telles signings last summer have proved. Sign a player to improve your starting 11, and then your current starter will be the alternative, who can compete for that starting spot, which will give your squad depth in the long run. So thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on the upcoming episodes in this series. Check out some of my other videos which will be linked in the description, such as my Chelsea transfer series and my match analysis of games as well, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram for more content as well, and give the video a like if you enjoyed it.